I'm Craig Snyder, and I'm a candidate for the Republican nomination for the United States Senate from Pennsylvania. I'm standing at the Musical Fund Hall in Philadelphia, just a few blocks from where this greatest nation was established. In this building, the very first Republican National Convention was held. Right here, the earliest Republicans decided what this party would stand for. Their platform opposed slavery and supported the greatest national infrastructure construction proposal of their century, the Transcontinental Railroad. Not bad, right? In next year's election, this party must again decide what it stands for and why it deserves the support of a majority of all voters. And there is surely a chance for the GOP to again be a majority party. For now, the Democrats are winning among the college-educated, highly paid Zoom class. But we could get many of such folks back.
Meanwhile, as predicted and encouraged by Pennsylvania's former Senator Rick Santorum, Republicans now win among the blue and new-collar working class and are surging among many thriving immigrant communities who are reaching for the classic American dream. In the last 4 years, however, our party went from controlling the White House, the Congress, and the Senate to losing all of them.
This despite the ever-increasing radicalization of the political left, with their cutting-edge leaders teaching that America is not just an imperfect place, but a fundamentally evil one.
In world affairs, they insist that America is a thieving and violent villain among the nations, rather than the example and protector of human progress it has actually been for the last 80 years.
And at home, they insist all white people are inherently racist, and that traditional masculinity is toxic, while femininity is servitude.
Darkly mirroring the people they justly oppose, they teach us to judge others by the color of their skin or other characteristics that frankly just shouldn't matter, not by the content of their character.
They tell us that our wealth as a society is not the product of enterprise and innovation, but of exploitation and oppression, and that the goal of equal opportunity for all must be replaced by the government deciding who gets what.
Despite the evidence of the lives of countless Americans, including President Biden and Vice President Harris,
they reject the basic American idea that people can and should rise in this country based mostly on what they do, not predominantly by who they are.
Long before the lockdowns went from 15 days of health precautions to going on 15 months of almost dictatorial powers, the left showed that there is almost nothing in your lives too personal for them to want to control through government. Nothing that they think you can better decide for yourselves with personal responsibility.
If you grill burgers on your backyard Weber, they screech like you've dropped a nuclear bomb in the Arctic.
When I was a kid, they passed a law requiring all new homes to be heated with electric heat pumps because we were going to run out of natural gas in a few years.
Right before innovators discovered how to produce enough gas to last for centuries, if we were to choose to use it all.
Now, these heralds of a brave new world order want to legislate that kids' clothing stores can't hang a sign on the wall which shows shoppers where to find back-to-school clothes for girls or boys, likening that to race segregation in the Old South. Well, maybe that doesn't matter so much because they've kept so many of our kids out of our public schools and in their pajamas for so long anyway, while Catholic school kids here in Philadelphia and elsewhere have been safely in their classrooms. Bizarrely, the only thing they don't want government to use power to do in your lives is the very thing government was created to do in the first place, to keep law and order and provide an acceptable level of physical safety in our homes and on our streets. In the last year, as proactive policing has been demonized and defunded, the streets of Philadelphia, like many other towns, have become increasingly brutal battle zones. From dusk until dawn, and sometimes in broad daylight, the Citizen app on my phone buzzes with one more terrifying alarm after another, right here in America's most historic neighborhood. Shootings, carjackings, home invasions, sexual assaults, injured bystanders, and on and on. What's the Democrats' response? Fewer police, closed prisons, no prosecution of criminals for the vast majority of crimes. Just send everyone more magical free money instead. One BLM leader has said that it was really Congress that killed George Floyd, by not passing a $2,000 per month guaranteed income. If these are the policies that you want in the face of the tidal wave of violence in far too many of our neighborhoods, then I'm not your guy. Vote for one of the Democrats. But if you understand that there are no civil rights for anyone who is afraid to leave their home, then join my effort. How can we have lost to such upside-down thinking? Such nonsense? Well, because the decisive voters in the American political center, including right here in Pennsylvania, came to see us in the last 4 years as even crazier, as supporters of snatching nursing newborns from immigrant mothers, as opponents of health insurance for the majority of adults who have pre-existing conditions. They saw us as unwilling to unequivocally condemn neo-Nazis who marched by torchlight chanting, "The Jews will not replace us." They saw us as people who scream for accountability when black teenagers loot sneakers from a Target store. And of course it's right to demand that these crimes be answered. But then turn around and oppose responsibility for the crimes of middle-aged white guys who defecated in the Capitol building of the United States and gouged an eyeball out of a cop with their bare hands. The left wants to cancel George Washington, disgustingly defacing his statue a block from where I'm standing now. But the majority of voters have seen our party try to cancel Washington's greatest legacy, the peaceful transition of power. Yes, they have seen us as even crazier than the crazy wokester libs. Shame on us for making it even possible for swing voters to see us as the worst of these two choices. So now comes 2022, and a new chance, just like in this beautiful old Philadelphia building in 1856, to decide what it means to be a Republican, a Pennsylvanian, and an American. It's a long shot for me to run against the party establishment, bigwigs and fat cats who have placed career above conviction through absolute loyalty to a person, Donald Trump, rather than to the true principles of the party of Abraham Lincoln, of Teddy Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, and Ronald Reagan. But I'm not throwing away this shot. I'm in this race to put my loyalty where it belongs, including to our outgoing Senator Pat Toomey, who showed principle in favoring consequences for the former president's encouragement and excuses for the Capitol rioters' crimes. I'm in this race as well to live out my loyalty to my mentor and friend, Senator Arlen Specter, who held this seat before Toomey, held it for longer and to great benefit for this state, because he stood for and spoke on behalf of the majority of Pennsylvanians who reject both political extremes. I disagreed with Senator Specter when he decided to quit the GOP, and I told him so at the time, and I didn't follow him out. I wanted him to stay and to persuade Republican voters that his vote of conscience to pass the stimulus bill in 2009, when the economy was collapsing, was the right thing to do, because it was.
Most fundamentally, I'm running to see to it that neither Trumpism nor socialism own our public debates. Neither white nationalism nor social justice extremism define our culture, but that instead, a common sense conservatism, which I believe is the path to our best possible future.
And the authentic viewpoint of a majority of voters has its voice heard, its values respected, and with your support, its victory won. Please join me on this journey, and thanks for listening.